Hi, Andrew with Teal Electronics and Automotive here in Midland, Texas. This is a Continental F162 engine. I believe 162, could be 163. That doesn't matter right now, because the problem that exists is present on either type of machine. This balancer likes to get rusted to that crankshaft. It's really thin metal, and it is brazed. Let me show you. I have to keep a piece around here for illustration purposes. So you can see how thin that metal is. You can even see some of the copper from it being brazed. This is what happens when you don't know how to take it off. This is from years and years and years and years ago. But we don't do it like this anymore. Any puller is just going to bend the outer edges of that balancer. It's going to make your pulley start running wobbly, real wobbly. So I thought I would show you guys the solution, or my solution today. And my solution is this big old hunk of steel with a hole drilled and tapped in the middle of it. This was just a practice chunk of steel that I was using when I first got my mill like a decade ago. It's pretty simple. You clean this, you take this, and you weld it on there. Just 4 little tackies, top and bottom, or side to side, however you'd rather. In the center, I've got a bolt that I ground flat with some electrical tape. The shoulder of the bolt needs to rest out here on the edge of the crankshaft. You don't want to damage those threads in the middle. If your bolt is a little bit too small, throw a little electrical tape on it, and bada bing, bada boom. So now that guy's there, we will place our homemade tool right here. We will tack weld it to the corners, and then we will put a bolt through the center of this guy. Bada boom. And then that bolt, when it comes out that hole, will push on that bolt, which is pushing against the crankshaft, and this will be welded to the pulley, and it'll pull the pulley off for you without any damage. Because as far as I know, you can't find these anymore. If you know where to find one, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, it doesn't have to look great. You can booger them on there, and it won't matter. It really doesn't even need to be that strong of a weld to pull it off. The fact is, you have to grab it from this boss, this shoulder right here. Any type of tool that would be grabbing from this is going to destroy it. But let's get that fuel tank out of the way and do a little welding, and make sure that we got a fire extinguisher or 2 handy, and we'll go from there. We got this cleaned up enough to get a couple tacks on it. We're just going to stick tack it. Brother-in-law has my wire welder, and all my customers' welders are a little too big or a little too broken for me to feel like hooking it up just to get this little guy off. So let me get the camera set up and get the welder ready, and y'all can watch me throw some boogers on here, man. All right, I think set up the tap real quick. Using some 1/16 6013, nice small rod. I'm sure that was painful to watch me do. I'm not a great welder. Part of why I fix them. Far better at fixing them than using them. But you're gonna like it when it comes off. That was 14. If all you have is metric sockets. Now watch that. Isn't that awesome? So now that you got it off, all you got to do is lightly cut those, sand them, smooth them back down, make sure it's nice and flat so that your bolt and washer fit back on when you go back together. And make sure you use a thick enough piece of metal that you got enough meat to do this over and over again for years. You really don't want to be making a new tool every time. It's another reason you use a thick one, so you have plenty of threads, plenty of clamping pressure capabilities. But yeah, so I'm going to set this back up here, and we'll go ahead and finish them. Don't touch the hot parts. And if you use the right size bolt in the crankshaft, then what happens is it gives you a great area. You don't have to weld it so dead center on this. And now your threads were protected, your shaft is fine, and that pulley should be completely reusable without being warped or bent, or throwing your belt off and making your water pump not spin and making you overheat. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cut the tool off, polish the flat surface as flat as you can get it again, and when you're done with your timing cover gaskets or front crank seals or whatever, just do it all over again. Put it back on. Yeah, that was pretty much it. It's pretty easy peasy on that. One more thing before you go back together. Make sure you mark it the way it came off, especially if the engine was running just fine. Also, you can check your valves and check to make sure compression's coming out. Had one time that we didn't pay attention to. There is 2 timing marks on this crank gear. One is right there and one is right there. This one is the incorrect timing mark. This one is the correct timing mark. I was told by a really old friend or an old welder tech that this timing mark was for other applications and whenever they ran the engine in reverse. Apparently they put it on a bunch of water pumps, natural gas compressors, a bunch of stuff. And depending on the specs of the equipment it was put on, you would time it to that dot or that dot. All the welders, it's that dot. Don't worry about that little guy. That's it. I'll take it easy.